Hey guys, how's it going? Shmoy, aka Baby Sham 33 here. So as you see, I am in the Tiger Growl arena, hunting for that 5-star Tigra. However, as you see right now, my score is 23 million. Um, while so that's my day one score. I was just kind of going casually and not thinking she would go probably for too much. So, even if I did say 65 million, thought I would definitely be able to get the hero. However, while doing the arena, I was like, well, let me pop occasional crystal here or there. And started getting kind of lucky with some 6 stars. So I was like, okay, well, let me just keep going. And, you kind of get caught up and unfortunately did more crystals than I should have or wanted to. But that's another story. Uh, I will say though, I did pull the hero and um, get her awakened as a 5-star. So therefore, I'm kind of stopping. I was talking to buddy Rob Van Show uh, about the hero because I know he plans on going for her in the next arena, and he likes her because of the Elsa synergy. So I was talking to him, and in our conversation, I was just like, you know what, he per our conversation, I was just like, you know what he said to me, and I was like, you're right. I'm gonna stop grinding arena. Now, just to kind of go over the hero quickly, for her awakened ability, she starts the fight in both her primal sense and her huntress sense. And then, based on the signature level, that obviously goes up. Just to kind of give you a sense, her primal sense, um, whenever, it really affects her damage output. So, in a primal sense, like with Special 1, whenever inflicting a rapture, deal a burst of up to 668 physical damage based on number of damage and debuffs. The 100 cents, 10% of chance for all non-contact attacks from special attacks to miss whenever inflicting rapture or causing the opponent to miss. Generate 10% of a bar of power. Um, Her special 2, each hit has a 10% chance to inflict rapture, dealing 668 physical damage over 4 seconds. Each damage debuff on the opponent increases the chance of the inflicting rapture during this special attack by a flat 10%. And on special 3, you gain Primal Sense and Huntress Sense for 14 seconds. Inflicting a non-stacking indefinite rapture, dealing 39 physical damage every 0.5 seconds. The raptor is removed and reapplied each time Tigra lands an unblockable strike. And of course, when she's fighting a non-cosmic champ, if affected by weakness, slow, or exhaustion, debuff prevents activation of Tiger personal miss and unblockable effects. So something just to kind of keep in mind. If you're fighting her, you're using a hero that will apply any of those effects, like say Spider Gwen or She Hulk, is really a great counter against her. For her passive abilities, all attacks on hit, inflict a non-stocking passive neutralize. So neutralize, not nullify, for 2.5 seconds. If this neutralizer is already active, its duration is refresh instead. Neutralize opponents have negative 100% buff ability accuracy. And while the opponent is neutralized, if they fail to gain a buff through chance, inflict rapture, dealing 39 physical damage over 1 second cooldown. 1 second. So that's the basics on the hero. As for her synergies, we have West Coast Avengers. This is a really good one. opponents have negative 80% purifying ability accuracy for 0.25 seconds after being struck. So if you're dealing with, say, masochism, which is going to shrug off a debuff, debuffs when you hit them, this is perfect against that node. See, feline possession with the Black Panthers. Nullify any unstoppable buff while the opponent is suffering the effects of a rapture. So remember now, you have the neutralize for the 2.5 seconds. If that falls off, then you have rapture for the 1 seconds. So technically, you're looking at overall time of say 3.5 seconds to neutralize if you're fighting someone like, say, the champion, and you don't necessarily have a neutralize up on them when he procs that unstoppable. Entree with Howard the Duck and Vulture. When fighting small champions, heavy attacks have a plus 50% increased attack rating. Then you have Big Game Hunter with Elsa Bloodstone. This one's really good when fighting extra large. Large and extra large champions increase the duration of rapture effects by 25%. So nice extended duration on that. And then like it also gives Elsa the enhanced ammunition debuffs. So that's really great for her. Same as the Entree, really beneficial for, I would say, Howard the Duck more than anything else. I know I believe I saw Seaton do a video with Howard the Duck, taking advantage of that synergy. Hawkeye's personal bleed abilities inflict poison instead. War Machine armor ups gain flat 30%. I mean, who's really questioning with Hawkeye and War Machine? Black Panther is fun sometimes. And then the romance synergies, all champions gain, plus 5% power gain, which is kind of standard. So, however, let's just get past this for a second. When I was opening crystals, something else happened. And I pulled a 6-star. So, still the reason why I'm like, okay, well, what? Let's just stop this grind. And you know what? Let's get into some gameplay on this hero. Alright, so I'm going to bring her in here against Winter Soldier. And as you notice, I'm just her. I'm not going to run any synergies. And the reason why is I like to see the kind of damage that hero will do when it's just them and not, filled with a synergy team of a bunch of heroes that you're probably not going to use during regular questing anyway. She does have a decent amount of crit value, and 1k 2100. It's nothing crazy, but it's pretty standard, and I think it's decent for the hero. When it comes to the miss mechanic, the way it functions is it's just projectile hits. So with Winter Soldier here, as you know on his special 1, you have those punches, and you want to time it so that you're basically holding that heavy attack when the projectile comes at you, and that's when you want to kind of release and go for that attack. At the same time, this spacing, I found that you have to be very careful of. So with Winter Soldier, when he releases and I go in, you have those first 2 or 3 hits, they basically kind of whiff. If there's room there, and depending on you're playing against a defender, that kind of sets you up where if the defender was to say Dex back and then come at you, you're kind of in a world of hurting, as it leaves you pretty open up. So there it is. That's my caution. Now I've gone ahead and I've released my special 3. When you release your special 3, you've activated both your Huntress and your Primal phases. And from there, this is where you can really do some, ramp up the damage that you're doing with those Raptor charges. There you notice I kind of dash back so that my hits would become unblockable. I'm not sure exactly why he was able to block the first part of it. But then the second part, that became unblockable. So here it is. Like I said, you have to be very careful with that spacing. With a special 2, I was pretty far back. I held it as long as possible, making sure that, he was dashing in before I was able, before I actually released it. I've gone back and again for another special 3. Now that after that special 3, that Huntress and that Primal force, the uptime is normally 14 seconds, but if you're attacking and you're doing those, you got that uptime on those Rapture, you'll notice that they pretty much get paused. So you can really have a nice long uptime on that. So here it is. I'm kind of going in and I'm just kind of want to bait it out. I want to get to my special 2 here. I'm gonna throw off my special 2. Some decent crits, 5 and 3k. Like I said, I'm making sure that I'm watching my spacing very carefully. With his special 2, holding my heavy attack and being very careful of how I basically of how I dash in. So, as I said, you want to make sure that, for the physical attacks on those special 2s, if you get hit by that, then, you're going to get knocked out of that. You're going to get knocked out of the heavy attack, and you're going to take the projectile damage, so be very careful and mindful of that. Here it is, we get back to another special 3, and my Primal Huntress is now back up. I'm doing a good deal of damage. I'm making sure I'm holding a heavy attack. He charged in, and I was able to intercept with that heavy attack. So sometimes it can be difficult against players like Winter Soldier. They're passive. And with those crits, you can see some nice red numbers there. I think one of them was like 3k. They really start to kind of add up. Made a slip there, but it's alright. Recovered. Now, from that position, I could have, I was holding my block, but I could have launched my special 2 as I had the unblockable. But as you saw last time I did that, for some reason, the first part of it, though it was supposed to be unblockable, it didn't, he was able to block it, and then the second part it hit. Not sure what's up with that, but it is what it is. There it is, really trying to take advantage of my spacing. I use that. I'm getting really good uptime when it comes to those senses, and kind of really getting a feel for her and her mechanics overall. And that's it. So 258 hits. Winter Soldier goes down. Wasn't too bad of a fight at all. Here it is. I'm up against a Juggernaut. I've got this Nick Fury and the Deadpool synergy, but that was just so that basically I was fighting my way to get the Juggernaut, and then with that synergy, because I'm running Suicides, the bleed debuff will fall off. Now, of course, with Juggernaut, you have to worry about his Unstoppable. So this is where her Neutralize ability becomes interesting. Now, as it's a Neutralize and not a Stagger or a Nullify, you really have to be very, very aggressive The neutralize lasts for a total of 2.5 seconds. So if it's on there and he throws his special attack, then he won't get the indestructible the unstoppable charge. So there he goes. He throws it, but no unstoppable, as the neutralize was still up. So like I said, for a hero like Juggernaut, it definitely works. You just have to stay very aggressive. Of course, in this fight where they don't have a special 3 active, I can do that without care. If this was, say, a standard fight, and I'd have to bait out a special attack, it would be a bit more troublesome, because then I couldn't really attack into him. Say if he was almost to a special 3, as he is right now, and I couldn't attack, there he threw it, so not a problem. But if I couldn't attack and the 2.5 seconds kind of, passed, and then the neutralize fell off, and he threw a special, then he would have that unstoppable buff, and I'd still have to deal with it. So, something to kind of keep in mind, depending on who you're fighting. But for, going up against Juggernaut, like I said, the neutralize definitely is pretty cool. I would think this would be really cool too if I was fighting, say, a Medusa, because you can stay aggressive, and you're not worrying about those, her gaining those fury attacks. But, as I said, one thing about it is you do have to stay very aggressive. But as you see, the uptime on the Huntress mode, like, it's very easy. I'm not using the miss function here. However, I'm just basically rinsing and repeating when it comes to special 2. I think that's like the optimal playstyle that you want. Launch a special 3, and then from there it's just like, okay, race to a special 2, and just keep those furies up. And that was only 211 hits. Here I found a champion boss, 5-star, to kind of fight. Just seeing how she would work when it comes to his Primal Fury. As I said, I had a good idea already with regards to, as I was using her. So you want to stay as aggressive as possible, just like all the other heroes, trying to keep the neutralize up. And there'll be a few cases where it's like, okay, the Primal Fury comes up, but I had just been hitting into him, so it kind of fell off. So here it is. As soon as he launches his special, I want to dash in. Luckily, there's no Primal Fury, and I'm getting that, that neutralize. The neutralize falls off. You get the rapture, but at the same time, too, if you're playing really aggressive, you want to keep that neutralize up as much as possible, so you don't even get to take advantage of the rapture. And there, his Primal Fury kind of got it in time, where his Primal Fury didn't activate. And there it was again, where it kind of activated, but luckily it activated right after I hit him. If I had been, a millisecond later, I'd have definitely, his Primal Fury would have activated, and I would have gotten wrecked. Now, just to show a good sense of her fighting somebody that already has all of the buffs active, and the difference between her and a hero that that nullifies or places staggers. So I'm going up against the this is 5.3 this is Act 4 Venom, and like 4.5 or something like that. I can't remember exactly at the moment. However, so he has all of those buffs that he starts the fight out with, and there's basically nothing that I can do about them. I can't nullify them. I can't I can't stagger them. They're not going to feed my Mystic Dispersion. This just basically becomes like a bog standard fight. Um, you know, I'm not going to get much damage on the Raptor, as I'm kind of, you know, being mindful and just kind of playing around with him and trying to be very careful. I'm having to bait out specials. And same thing here. I was trying to keep him to a special 1. Trying to get that space in. Doesn't always want to kind of cross it off. Here it is, of course, Venom. The minute that he gets a special 2, that's what he's going to throw. Between the spacing, I definitely wasn't able to back up in time to even attempt a full evade. And now my health is down to 30%, so I definitely have to play very cautiously here. See, one blocked attack, and it took like 10% of my life off. So, but now I do have my Huntress and my Primal effect up, so those Raptor damages are kind of helping take away his health. But it is very hard to kind of keep the uptime because I'm having to play so passively. He has all of those buffs up. That's already mitigating my the damage. And there's nothing, like I said, there's nothing I can do with regards to neutralizing them. And that is the unfortunate side effect of her ability. I really do wish they would have given her some sort of nullify ability, even if it was, say, on her special attack, like her special 1 or special 2 or something like that. If she had some sort of nullify to deal with heroes that already had some sort, already had buffs up, to help get rid of those buffs. Because, as I said, the one thing with her is if they start out the fight and they have those buffs, or you're not able to stay aggressive and they get buffs, there's nothing that you can do to get rid of the buffs. And that was the one drawback I found playing the character. So, really taking my time, kind of like, okay, dealing with him, trying to bait out these special attacks. Kind of intercepting where I can, hitting into his block. I'm trying to keep him up against this wall, and this is kind of like how you want to fight Venom, to keep him from kind of going crazy on you, throwing his special attacks. And unfortunately, close to a special 2, but luckily I was able to bait it out, down to about 4%. A little cheeky intercept. I'm able to hit him with my special 3, and that will go ahead and finish off the match. So, 161 hits. It's a rank 1, 5-star. That's equivalent to, say, a maxed out 3-star. But past that, here he is. We're going to go up against the Collector. One of my alliance mates was like, hey, you should bring him in against the Collector in Act 5 and test out how she is against the Unblockable. Now, I haven't done this fight in since I 100%ed it, I have not gone back in and done the fight. So there it is, her miss mechanics. However, I completely forgot about the Bane. And just kind of like in my head, and I'm thinking like about the fight or whatever, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm thinking like, all right, well, I just want to see if this mechanic works. It works fantastic, but then I forgot about the Bane, and there it is. I kind of rushed in at the end, realizing that the Bane was going to, kind of go back on me, and I was going to, to die from the Bane, I rushed in and got hit. So I'm just like looking at here. I'm like, do I really want to go back in this? Like, okay, I know it works, and my pride, I'm just like all right, let's try this again and see how it goes. This is for you guys out there. So you know what? Hell, let's use some resources. Um, she does have a synergy with Hawkeye, where basically the opponent they don't shrug off effects. That might be really good against a fight like this, or something, or against someone with masochism. Here I'm trying to manage the Bane a little bit better than I previously did. Get some decent Bane transfers. I just messed up. I didn't hold the heavy attack in time and one special 2, and I'm dead. I will say one thing about the Collector fight is in his abilities, he does continually regen every time he loses, I think, like 20% health. But because of her neutralize ability, it never procs. So the minute I would hit him to the point that he loses 20% health, um, you know, because I'm actually hitting him and he's hitting that 20%, that regen would proc. Because the neutralize is on, it doesn't happen. And here I kind of go in and, you know, I got hit. It is what it is. So, kind of looking at this, and you know what? I'm gonna go back in one more time. I did want to see about the special, you know, to at least get a miss on the special one, and I do that. Get that evade, but at the same time, you will see when I get this evade, based on how you know, you have to be very careful with the spacing after you get that that miss on the projectile when they dash in, to make sure that you get that heavy, or you're basically going to get comboed into oblivion, and that's exactly what's going to happen to me here in a few seconds. So just take a look and watch. Alright guys, and that was my gameplay of Tigra. So just to hit a few quick bullet points, when it comes to her Awaken ability, does she need it? No, it's not mandatory. It's useful to have. You can start out in that Primal sense. If you do have it, you want the sig to be high as possible, so that you really have a better chance of getting that uptime on the Primal sense. Otherwise, you know, once you get to a special 3, it's very easy to keep that up for the entire fight. So definitely nice about the hero, that she doesn't need the awakening, though it's helpful. When I think about her compared to other mystic heroes, she hits top 10, and that's like, you know, in the she's closer to 10 than she is closer to 5. When I start thinking about, you know, the Sorcerer Supreme, Doctor Doom, Black Widow, Clairvoyant, Longshot, Mojo, Symbiote Supreme, those are all heroes I would rank up above her. Her neutralize ability is really cool. You know, if you're facing someone, say, like a Juggernaut or Medusa, you just need to play very aggressively. However, if you're facing someone like, you know, that Venom, where you get all those buffs at the start of the fight, there's absolutely nothing that you can do, as she does not have a nullify ability. I think that is her big drawback. The rapture damage is really cool because, you know, you don't have a rapture immune hero, so it doesn't matter if they're poison immune or if they're bleed immune, you can deal damage. So that's definitely a very cool ability. The miss ability when it comes to projectile attacks Also very cool. The only thing I would say is be very mindful of the defender and their spacing, or just their projectile, the way their projectile works in general. Winter Soldier on his special 2, he does do that kick. If you're not careful of the spacing, you will get kicked out of your heavy attack, and then you will take the projectile damage. Same thing, with his special 1 and the punch. And at the same time too, with holding that heavy attack, a lot of projectile attacks like Winter Soldier or Captain Marvel after the projectile attack, they kind of there's a push, the animation pushes them back. So the spacing then changes. So you can't go from sometimes you can't always go from projectile straight into an attack. Even with Winter Soldier Special 1, I would, even when I thought the spacing was very close, after the special 1, the first few hits of the heavy attack would whiff, and that's somewhat concerning. If you're not careful with that, against certain defenders, you will get comboed into oblivion. Um, the best rotation playstyle I think for her is if you can get to that special 3, you get both the Huntress and the Primal, um, um, and the Primal sense up. You can then do some real damage with those Raptures, especially if you can get to a special 2, and you just basically rinse and repeat. You can stay pretty, if you can stay pretty aggressive, even with those misses on a projectile, you're going to gain a lot of power when you're in the Primal and the Huntress sense. You're going to gain a lot of power, and you can easily basically cycle those special 2s. Um, but like I said, other than that, she's a fun hero. Um, the you know if I would to use her, I would think if I'm going to play like on unblockable special node, where I have to go against a War Machine and Punisher and Punisher 2099 and heroes of that nature, that unblockable special, that miss mechanic, is gonna be really cool to have. But then, as I said, you have to be very careful with that heavy attack afterwards, making sure that you're timing that properly. Because if you're not careful, you are in for a world of hurt. I wish she had, say, a synergy where if she had like a synergy where she got there's like a unstoppable or something like that. That'd be fantastic. I will say that maybe with the miss mechanic, you can play around a little bit. If you have your special attack and you have that space in directly after, you can throw your special because it's going to be unblockable, based on the spacing. But other than that, like I said, she's a fun character. The damage isn't crazy. Yes, after the special 3, and then you're cycling special 2s. Those Raptors, they're going to definitely deal some damage, but it's nothing crazy. Um, and then, like I said, when I think of her compared to other Mystic heroes, she makes the top of the top 10 list. Somewhere 8 or 9, I guess. Um, um, the only thing that, like I said, I think if she had a nullify ability, even if on one of her specials, she would be so much better. But other than that, a fun hero. I'm happy that to have her on my roster. I'm sure that I'll find a use for her in some content somewhere along the way, as that's Kabam's way. They put out a hero, and then there's some sort of content where that hero becomes really convenient to have. So we'll see as it goes. I hope you enjoyed this content. If there's something that you would like me to, some kind of gameplay you would like to see her in, please let me know. I'm happy to get that out for you. The miss mechanic was pretty cool. I did mess up on that, on that collector fight badly, as I haven't done that in forever. But with certain fights like that, the miss mechanic does, is pretty cool. I think against the Grandmaster, if if you're pushing him to a special two, that could definitely come. It definitely can come in handy. But then you, like I said, you just have to be very, very careful because of the on a fight like that, I think she would do really well actually. But you do have to be very, very careful with the spacing of the heavy attack. Like I said, sometimes on that heavy attack, it looks kind of like a whiff. So who knows? Maybe that'll be tweaked sometime, down the line or something like that. But that's gonna be my review. Like I said, I hope you enjoyed this content, and if there's something that you'd like me to see, or something that you think I should have tried out with her, or maybe something I missed in my review, please let me know, and I'd be happy to talk about it or give it a try and see how it works. Thanks as always for watching. Please like and subscribe, and have a blessed day.